Hello everyone, how are you? Do you familiar with logistic or supply chain? Because today, I'm going to share with all of you about logistic and supply chain management. Do you know that the British Army is the first organization that implement logistics? This is because history during war recorded that the strength and weakness of a nation depends on the logistics, whether they are well prepared or not. Fun fact! British defeated in American War of Independence due to the logistic failure. They almost fully depended to the Britain until the supply is inadequate. The cost of operation and the morale of the troops also been affected. It can be seen that logistics is important in army organization. Have come to recognize the vital impact that logistics management can have in the achievement of competitive advantage. So, what is logistics? Logistics is the process of strategically managing the procurement, movement, and storage of materials, parts, and finished inventory through the organization and its marketing channels. Logistics is essentially a planning orientation and framework that seeks to create a single plan for the flow of products and information through a business. While the supply chain builds upon this framework and seeks to achieve linkage and coordination between the process of other entities and the pipeline. In example, suppliers to customers and the organization itself. The definition of supply chain management is the management of upstream and downstream relationships with suppliers and customers in order to deliver superior customer value at least cost to the supply chain as a whole. Basically, the focus of supply chain management is to manage the relationships in order to achieve a more profitable outcome for all parties in the chain. Figure 1 shows the supply chain network. It illustrates the idea of the firm being at the center of a network of suppliers and customers. A network of connected and interdependent organizations mutually and cooperatively working together to control, manage, and improve the flow of the materials and information from suppliers to end users. Did you know there are sources of competitive advantage which can be provided by effective logistics and supply chain management? In other words, a position of enduring superiority over competitors in terms of customer preference may be achieved through better management of logistics and supply chain. The figure shows the triangular linkage of the company, its customers, and its competitors. The sources of competitive advantage is found firstly in the ability of the organization to differentiate itself in the eyes of the customer from its competition, and secondly by operating at lower cost and hence at greater profit. Due to the economic of scale which enable fixed costs to be spread over the greater volume. The more product produced, the more cost of production can be reduced. At the bottom left-hand corner of our matrix, the products are distinguishable from their competitors' offerings and they have no cost advantage. These are typical commodity market. This is why market share is considered to be so important in many industries. To seek a strategy of differentiation through service excellence, it have been committed that market have been more service sensitive. They are looking for reduced lead times, just-in-time delivery, and value-added service. The figures show the challenge to management is to identify appropriate logistic and supply chain strategies to take the organization to the top right-hand corner of the matrix. Companies who occupy that position have offers that are distinctive in the value they deliver and also cost competitive.
One point 4. The supply chain becomes the value chain. Have you heard about value chain? And what does it mean by value chain? Michael Porter, he is the one who developed value chain concept to a wider audience. According to Michael Porter, competitive advantage cannot be understood by looking at the firm as a whole. Each of these activities can contribute to a firm's relative cost position and create basis for differentiation. The value chain disaggregates a firm into its strategically relevant activities in order to understand the behavior of costs. A firm gains competitive advantage by performing these strategically important activities more cheaply or better than its competitors. Value chain can be categorized into primary activities and support activities. Primary activities consist of inbound logistics, outbound logistics, operations, marketing and sales, and lastly, service. Inbound logistics is the process of receiving, storing, and distributing of raw materials used in the production process. Outbound logistics, it is the distribution of the final product to consumers. Operation is the stage at which the raw materials are turned into the final product. Marketing and sales is advertising, promotion, sales force organization, distribution channels. Service refers to activities needed to maintain the product's performance after it has been produced. Support activities such as firm infrastructure, human resource development, procurement, and technology development. Firm infrastructure refers to an organization's structure and its management, planning, accounting, finance, and quality mechanism. Human resource management includes the activities involved in hiring and retaining the proper employees to help design, build, and market. Technology development can be used in the research and development stage, in how new products are developed and designed, and in process automation. Procurement, how the raw materials for the product are obtained. Competitive advantage is derived from the way in which firms organize and perform these activities within the value chain. To gain competitive advantage over its rivals, a firm must deliver value to its customer value by performing the activities in a unique way. Organizations should look at each activity in their value chain and assess whether they have a real competitive advantage in the activity. Therefore, value and cost is not just created by the focal firm in a network, but by all the entities that connect to each other. Moving on to the mission of logistic management. To span the organization from the management of raw materials through to the delivery of the final product. To achieve this company-wide integration clearly requires a quite different orientation than that typically encountered in the conventional organization. The needs of customers are satisfied through the coordination of materials and information flows. 1.6. Supply chain management and competitive performance. The supply chain is the network of organizations that are involved through the upstream and downstream linkage in the different processes and activities that produce value in the form of product and services. Fun fact idea! Shirt manufacturer is a part of a supply chain that extends upstream through the weavers of fabrics to the manufacturers of fibers. Each of these organizations in the chain are dependent upon each other by definition and yet paradoxically by tradition do not closely cooperate with each other. Fun fact idea! Companies that perhaps once made their own components now only assemble the finished product. For example, automobile manufacturers. Other companies may also subcontract the manufacturing as well. Logistic management is primarily concerned with optimizing flows within the organization. Supply chain management recognizes that internal integration by itself is not sufficient. One point seven, the changing competitive environment. First, the new rules of competition. Second, globalization of industry. Third, downward pressure. Fourth, customers taking control. The new rules of competition. The era of supply chain competition. Organizations create superior value for customers and consumers by managing their core processes better than competitors manage theirs. These core processes encompass such activities as the new product development. Globalization of industry. The global company seeks to achieve competitive advantage by identifying world markets for its products and then to develop a manufacturing and logistics strategy to support its marketing strategy. Fun fact idea! Company like Caterpillar has dispersed assembly operations to key overseas markets and uses global logistic channels to supply parts to offshore assembly plants and aftermarkets. Where appropriate, Caterpillar will use third-party companies to manage distribution and even final finishing. For example, in the US, a third-party company, in addition to providing parts inspection and warehousing, attaches options to forklift trucks. Wheels, counterweights, forks, and masts are installed as specified by Caterpillar. Downward pressure on price. A fundamental change in the global competitive landscape. There are new global competitors who have entered the marketplace supported by low-cost manufacturing bases. The dramatic rise of China as the major producer of quality consumer products is evidence of this. Customers taking control. Customer in today's marketplace is more demanding not just of product quality but also of service. Customer service may be defined as the consistent provision of time and place utility. In other words, products don't have value until they are in the hands of the customer at the time and place required. Those companies that have achieved recognition for service excellence and thus have been able to establish a differential advantage over their competition are typically those companies where logistic management is a high priority. 4 pillars of supply chain excellence. Responsiveness, resilience, relationships, reliability. As a conclusion, Logistics and supply chain management play an important role in our everyday life. It is not a new idea. In fact, from the building of pyramids to the relief of hunger in Africa, utilize the principles of effective flow of materials and information. Thank you for watching.